Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Plus3 Futures and Commodities Show. We are recording Friday, the 18th of October, about 45 minutes after the close. And on today's show, we're here. A lot of markets came to the important levels, and we're here on time because the cycle's here. Now what? We're going to get into it on today's show. My name's Ben Maldonado. As always, I'm here with my partner, Barry Hederachi. And Barry, it's time and price time.
Well, it's definitely price and time. And what you're looking at, we're on the cash chart, 180 degrees out from the April low. And the reason we're using that is because it helped us get the July high. Also, the entire time you spent bumping up against the
Against the
56.73
90.
level, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then we got on top. We did the check back nicely before we took off. So this square is, it's a good working square. So we're going to continue to use that. We had, this 58.48 as a target for the cash. Well, we got there and basically we got there and we can't get out of there. This is what it looks like.
We're captured
Just captured. And, and also we have a 180
in
balance
time.
the account. So,
Yeah.
and that's important. So let's continue to watch that. And when we were up the 90-degree level, we talked about how, if it breaks that and we can hold above, we have much higher to go. We were joking about 6,000 and all of this.
Hmm.
And it seems like, day by day, we're sort of getting there. So that's the first thing is we have to look at the square that's got us here and what we have to deal with. And this 58.48 is about a quarter square. Quarter square is right up in there and 180. So it is squaring out. Let's see what happens. And what's the evidence of squaring out? Well, clearly for the cash, we want to see it getting stuck below 58.50, right? 58.48,
Hmm.
58.50.
Hmm.
And that would tell us what kind of a correction or consolidation we're going to have. Are we going to hold above 57.50, which is, which has a pretty solid support level now? Or are we going to get down to 56.73, which also is fairly solid after all this battering on it, right?
Hmm.
The support levels I feel like, are pretty solid. And last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the importance of looking at, where we are from the last low. We call this low before the high. Here's 58.48, and you can see it's pretty much the same story from here, but without time. Again, is this really holding above? Well, yeah, technically, last 2 days, Thursday, Friday, we managed to hold above, no question. But it would be great to see it, go a couple of days and come back and touch and move, which is
Hmm.
sort of like what happened at 56.73. I mean, this is sort of a very classic, great, easy to trade kind of a pullback. All right. So where does it put us for next week? Well, pretty much what we were looking for last week. Well, last week we were looking for it to go up and tap 58.48, 58.50, and we did that, sure enough. But the thing is, it did it like right away on Monday. Then the rest of the week was pretty much rotating around the same level,
Hmm.
right, Ben? So in a way, it was kind of a very narrow week, but we also made new highs. So all in all, not a bad week for the bulls. The stickiness of the rain, the level 58.48 is still there though. So going into next week, this is the level to watch it. That's all you guys need. If we can hold above that somehow, I think then there's a lot more to go. If we
And for
break
those, yeah, for those trading SPY, that would be 584, 585 area.
exactly, and thanks, Ben. And we need to figure. I got to figure out a way to show that. You guys want SPY and all, all the
Sure.
cues and everything, and we can do that. But you can also figure it out just by dropping a number. What can we say about the trend? Well, the trend, although we've had, long periods of consolidation, the thing is when we go, we really go. So the
Hmm.
trend was able to keep it very strong, even though when you look at it, it looks kind of sloppy, right? But we're above the 1 by 1, well above it. So it's, market is strong. And I saw that little graphic that you sent about most of the retail side being, this is the most long they've ever been. Was that what it
Right.
was?
It was in the futures, yeah, the non-commercials, as long
And
as they've ever been.
right. So, I mean, that's a lot of funding, right? Going in
Hmm.
to prop this up or to continue keep this going. So anyway, so the two things here is the trend is strong. We're well above the 1 by 1, even getting to the 1 by 1 and bouncing, that trend is fully intact. What we're really looking for at this point, when we get to a 90, when the current leg gets to about a 90-degree move, that's normally the it's a normal move for the S&P,
Hmm.
just sort of like how we saw it up here.
Hmm.
So we want to see, look at both sides of the street, and that's why we're kind of pausing and saying, okay, well, what's going to happen? Well, we make it really easy with the square. So above 58.48, stronger, weaker. So we'll just stay with that for now. And we know we have a time count, so that's on the books. Time or not, I mean, price definitely is the first thing to show us what's happening in the now. So we'll have
Hmm.
to we'll watch the prices. Anything you want to add for the cash?
No, I think it's good coverage. We know the key level.
Yeah, that is the level, and it's sure enough, we spent the whole damn week on there. So
Yeah. Yes.
and not that the futures market didn't do it, pretty much the same story. But the number here was 58.92, if you guys remember from last week. And sure enough, I mean, when I saw that Monday, and I thought, wow, we're just going to
Blow through it.
blow through it. Then I saw Tuesday, I'm like, oh, is that a false break? you know,
Right. Right.
and well, sure enough, we tried to grind through there, but not with the whole lot. This I don't see a whole lot of power here. It's not powering out of that level, but of course, it's not selling off. So you have to give it the space it needs, and it is as a 90. It is at a 90-degree level. So it's there's a lot going on. Obviously, from our perspective, it's because of the square level, and it's just a struggle to see if we can get above or not. And looks like today we managed to stay above most of the day. Again, for the futures market, this is the E-mini. Same story. We want to see if we can settle above 58.92 or not, and then we'll take it from there. Let's take a quick look at the Dow. If you guys remember, once we were watching this 216 level because that's where the Dow kind of got stuck, and spent a couple of good 2-3 weeks in here,
Hmm.
and finally broke through, and that's this little inside bar is kind of what breaking through kind of held above, and when once the high got taken out, we just started trending higher. So this block here, if you guys watch it every week, that was the resistant level even when we were down here, and
Hmm.
44,300 is the upper part of that, and the middle of that zone looks about to be about 43 730 725 726. So we'll see what happens now here. Dow has a timing point coming up at the end of the month. What is it, October 25th?
8th, 25th. Hmm.
Yeah, 25th, 28th window. This is coming off a square 72. So we'll see. Normally what I like to do is monitor all the indices and see if one of them leads in there, is who's lagging. But they're all under the same time counts because all of these guys, they all make the highs and lows around the same dates.
Hmm.
But anyway, the Dow's, again, like the other ones, are breaking out and moving away. So looks like it's got a little bit more to go as far as that goes. And lastly, this is the continuation chart. Pretty much the same as the other one. Only thing is, because we have that little gap here, I wanted to keep this, but also look at these contract. Again, we're well above the 90. Looks like we're doing okay. So we'll leave it at that. But I do want to show you guys a couple of really cool charts. Well, one cool chart for sure. And that would be the weekly cash chart. Now here we have something really interesting happening coming off the lows in 22, which no matter how, who's looking at it, you can say that's the low where we got started, right? After the
Hmm.
big correction. Sure. So from there, we are, what is it, 108 weeks coming into November, first part of November. So it gives us about 2.5 weeks,
That's it. Yeah.
right into that. And, oddly, sure, we have elections coming in there, and we have timing, we have squares, we have all kinds of stuff. And I did draw a little box up here. I mean, this would be the ideal sweet target for, move up here and terminate up here. And that's between, this is the cash now, 61, I don't know, I have 6107 and 6160, right? I'll just leave the box there for now for visuals. And I have a trend line drawn in. And I know this is geometry based, and I forgot. I think I took the tool out, however I got that. But then anyway, resistant level. So we'll see if it gets there. If it gets there in time, that'll be around 60-40. So either way, looks like we're gonna, if this thing actually has legs. And if you look at how we're pumping and just climbing that wall, now we're like vertical, right? You can kind of say we've entered the vertical level starting next week. We did the steepening and now we're getting into the vertical part. So it just makes sense. We'd go up there and tap 6,000 at a minimum. 59.50 is another square level. So we're, whatever it is, it's up in here. We have some timing on the weekly basis. We have some other timing also that's coming up. So this is something to keep in mind with, things coming over the horizon.
Hmm.
Anything you want to add to that, Ben?
No, just that when those circles catch, they do go vertical like that. And then when it falls out, you get the drop like we saw, like we showed in bonds on the
Yeah.
midweek show.
And
So
so we'll see. We'll watch that. And so far,
we're definitely coming to a point of serious action.
yeah, we're and at a really critical time, which is right around
Yes.
elections, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
so it's funny how it all kind of added up. Where the low
Hmm.
here, when the low here came in, we nobody really thought about, oh, it's 108 weeks from
The election.
nobody
Right.
thought of, but that's how things work out. So let's watch this and see what happens. Because look, I mean, we definitely cleared the 144,
Hmm.
so we're well above that. We'll go along with it. Mainly for the reason for the 144 was not just the price, but also it's the nearest weekly time,
Hmm.
important time that's coming off of this the low in 22. So I kept it
Sure.
there.
Sure.
All right. Give me 1 second to change. Let's take a quick look at the 30-minute. So here's the 30-minute. Can you see this?
Yeah,
Okay.
looks good. Dancing right on top of that 5902.
I'll tell you what a week watching this thing. Nail biter, eh? So
Like paint drying.
yeah. We looked at this on Wednesday. Well, from last Friday. Well, basically, I think we left 58. 58 was a number from what I remember
Yeah. Yep.
last Friday. We
Hmm.
talked about how if we hold above that, then we have to go up and tap it, tap 59.02. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then sure enough, Sunday night, Monday morning, we already got there, right?
Yeah, we
So
got there. Yep.
that took all the fun out of it. So anyway, the range was, most of the market was between 58.58 and 59.02.
Hmm.
We tried to break through, came back. And I mean, this would have been the perfect place to, come back below, tested our 58.86 level and got back above. And, this would have been a perfect get above and hold above if it's going to go
Hmm.
higher. The fact that it didn't hold above means the opposite. And that would be, we're going to go lower. And what was the first clue that this might not hold above would be the false break that we had right here.
Hmm.
And after, I think you mentioned that right after that
Yeah. Yep.
false break, we sure enough, it wasn't some crash, but we, found our way lower, basically stopped at the quarter square, which is right there. And well, you guys know what happens from there. It just a grind and a drag, really. But
We had OpEx, so maybe that was just premium melting.
yeah, there's a lot of gamma stuck in there. So, but the trend line held. I mean,
Hmm.
technically it was okay. Trend line held. We really kind of bounced. It got squeezed in here between 58.86 and 59.02, and finally, managed to sort of finish for the weekend above 59.02. Now you guys know what's the level for next week. It's 59.02.
Hmm.
Clearly, if we can manage to, do a run like overnight, midnight run like here, we could go up and tap 59 and a half or so. If not, we have room till 59.92. But the key level, just like we were using 58.58, and before that we used 58.14. You guys can kind of get the idea now, right? We look at these levels, and the reason we say let's watch it for next week is to see which side the market gets on, and if it can get on the bullish side, great. We'll trade in that direction. If it gets stuck and start to set up to the downside, well, fine, we'll trade that. So, but either way, this is kind of important one because you can see we're starting to do last few days at least sort of mean reversion around this. So I hope it
Hmm.
doesn't continue like that, and we're able to break out and hold this trend line. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Any comments on the
Nope, that pretty much describes the week right there.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, with that Rebel Yell cycle clicking in the next couple of days, I would think we could expect some kind of a change in character. So you guys know,
Absolutely.
right? So you can already know what the character is like here, and clearly next week better be a little bit more action packed. So we'll see how that looks like.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully it brings in the where we start trending either way, up or down. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. But it'll definitely should be it'll be a different character than this week.
Hmm.
That's it. We're done with indices. You're gonna do
Yep.
the NASDAQ uh
Yep. I'll do
on that
NQs.
side. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, let's get over there. And if you guys like our work and you like the video, like the stuff, please hit like and subscribe and hit the alerts and share the videos. Always helps, right, Ben?
Absolutely.
I'm just starting to realize, wow, it's kind of fun with more people watching, you know.
Yeah, it is. You get the feedback and then we can put stuff on, that the
Mhm.
people want. It's fun that way.
Yeah. And we kind of started it without a big motivation.
All
Direction. We
right.
just kind of started doing it for fun, and then hey,
Well, we were doing it to hold ourselves accountable. That was the
exactly.
original motivation.
Hmm. And it's really helped. I got to admit,
Yeah, for sure.
it's really
Makes us
helpful.
focus more.
Yep. Yep. All right, going on to bonds. I don't even have to say anything. Here's the picture. That's it. I'm done. We were
Well, then
looking.
that's the level you've been saying for 3 weeks now. You got to
Hmm.
watch that level, and man, is it holding.
We got there, and Wednesday, I think we talked about, let's give it we only had a 1 day pullback here. So here we're looking at 1 or 2 day counter trend. And, if that's all we can muster up, we were looking for weakness. Sure enough, 2 days up, 2 days down.
Yep.
Somehow this 1916 level is holding
Again. Yep.
again. And my comment here would be that if, after tapping it twice, if we fail here next week, I think we have lower prices to go.
Yeah. Yep.
Barring that, this is kind of a double bottom kind of a scenario. I would expect it to, try to mount another rally and see how we do, because we are down we had about a 45-day correction, right? So let me
Hmm.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had
45.
45 from that high to here. So, I think it's reasonable to expect some kind of a bounce off of that. We'll see. If it doesn't, it's really, really bad. If it does, great. It's just normal,
Hmm.
normal movement. So
Hmm.
we'll work with that. Oh, did we talk about this? I forgot to talk about the normal
The
weekly
weekly?
chart, the regular weekly. I mean, we spent so much time on the other weekly chart.
Sure.
So a quick break from bonds. So here, this is the regular continuation weekly mini e-mini chart. Again, the big thing here is, we were able to get through the 135 level, 56.72. This is a while back, but you can see how much drama we had there trying to get some traction to get on
Hmm.
top, and we did a very clean move on top of it, and we're moving. We're moving with fairly steady pace. So it looks like, I have 59.81 and I
Hmm.
have 6,030.
You're half square. Or
Yeah,
no, that's quarter square.
quarter
Sorry.
square. So that looks
Hmm.
like reasonable. We can expect that to be the next target if we continue to go. And that's what it's looking like. But boy, I tell you what, the angles are getting awfully steep here.
Very steep.
And so we're coming into something, but we'll figure it out when we get there. So far, it's okay. I was also thinking, Ben, for next week, it's if we get some kind of a, Rebel Yell can invert sometimes and break to the other side,
Absolutely.
And if we do that, oh boy, we could get here with ease,
Yeah.
and also do a flip.
True. Very
So
true.
don't we get V shapes sometimes? We do.
Sometimes it does V's. Yeah.
So keeping all that in mind, I'm just saying we have a little bit more room to go on the weekly. All
I mean,
right.
the key is we watch for changing character, right? Whether it's an acceleration upwards, a reversal, chop if the market's already been trending. We're just watching to see the changing character that the cycle brings.
Right, right. Exactly. All right, let's go on to bonds.
Weekly bonds holding on for dear life on the 144.
Yeah, so both numbers hit pretty well. The dailies holding up pretty well. Here,
Hmm.
we're coming off the high on a 72, 144 down is exactly this level. So far it's holding. We also have a weekly trend line right under it. So that's what I'm thinking. We came down 45. Sure enough, everything kind of adds up. It could be a little bounce coming off of here, mainly hello, 144.
Hmm.
So let's see. Unless this level is taken out, which is 19 and a half, 119.16. I think we can expect some kind of a little bounce coming off over here. Of
Sure.
course, like I said earlier on the daily, if it gets taken out, then it's a
Look
big,
out below.
yeah, it's a bigger problem.
Hmm.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to crude. What do you think, Ben?
It got hammered this week, but we're still potentially making another higher low.
Yeah, that's true. As long as
If
we're
it can if it can reverse, yeah.
holding above this trend line, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So the trend is holding. We had the ABCD that kind of put in a low. I would say that's a fairly decent ABCD ending, right? What do you think of the ABCD, Ben? It's fairly good, right? We can
It's
call that a
solid.
finish, right?
Yeah, and we got a good reaction off of it. So
Exactly, right? We
it,
have a double hit. We're good.
hmm.
And it just so happens that it came up right up at the square. So everything looks good. We tried to hold up above 73.50, couldn't quite do it. So now, I told you guys, I think what Wednesday, if we get below this, then it's just more consolidation. I don't think we're going to take this out at this point. Of course, you never know, but we're kind of looking at this in a bullish way, mainly because of the way the longer term crude charts are looking.
Sure.
And long as I have to say, long as we're above the 64.75 to 60 square, we have to be thinking in terms of the long side. So that's
Right.
all.
Only if we get stuck under 64.75, then we would reconsider. We'd say, okay,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
time to look south.
And the other thing I was thinking, this is not like a stock where, if it gets to under 64, it's going to go to 50. You know what I mean? I mean, what are the
Right.
odds of that? So,
Right.
so being the kind type of commodity it is, I'm thinking we're just going to have more consolidation longer and longer till we burn out enough time for the cycle to pick up and pull us back up.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. And the idea of the way we're looking at these levels, above 64, 75, 61, above this zone here is okay. Okay, it's firm, it's okay, it's a low, it's support, meaning it can bounce from there, right? Like we've done. Now, if it
Hmm.
bounces, if it gets to 73.50 and get above it, then the next level we're watching to take out is 79.50. Because and that's a really important level, as you can see. We couldn't even do it here. So this is sort of a critical level, as you can see, right? If we get above that, then we're really kind of primed to go. If we take out 83, that's going to pretty much guarantee 91. If
Hmm.
we get there, we're definitely hitting 100, something like that.
Right. Right.
So that's the thinking to the upside. Downside, I really don't have any thinking because I don't know how much, I don't think we have the same kind of downside potential without the risk, huge. Yeah, sure, you can trade this short, but who's going to hold these things overnight, right?
Right.
Not me. So, all right. So that's my thinking around crude. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think it's good. The levels are solid.
Okay. Let's take a look at the weekly crude. I have a couple of crude charts to look at, actually. We can look at both. This it's one of those sleepy charts until it wakes up. We tried to get up in there. I mean, this bar, the high bar for this period, you can see went up and we tapped exactly the middle of that triangle.
Yep.
And the idea, normally you would, if a market does that, you want to sell that and stay short because it's going to go a lot lower. Maybe down into 50. I was laughing about it, but hey, that could
Good.
happen.
Yeah.
So let's see, but nothing's getting activated till we take out this 60. Why? Well, because look at the history of it. Look how well that line has held since 2020, right? Here as resistance, all through here as support.
Yep.
So there's no, it'd be difficult to get short and be comfortable and be able to sleep at night. so so
Agreed.
it's the upside that we're looking at.
Yeah, let's see how that level plays. If it
Yeah.
if it continues to hold, you can solidly look long.
And the other weekly chart I wanted to look at was this one. As you can see, when we haven't, we're still well within everything. All the rules are in place. Nothing's really, I mean, if I here put a regular bar, you can see we're just perfectly behaving. How would I say? It's behaving normally, right? And the big trend line to break, the weekly trend line, multi-year trend line is up here. And we don't know at what price it'll break because we have to get a little close. But we know the 64.60 level is an important level. Just going back, 10 years, all the way through here, you can see how it kind of played an important role.
And that chart, I think, is a perfect visualization of the fact that we have to burn more time.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Get squeezed a little more into that,
Yeah.
the edge of the circle and that downtrend line. So maybe we just need to put in a few more weeks and then it's going to rip,
All
pick a
right.
direction.
Yeah. Either way, we can see there's a squeeze coming. It's coiling up, and this is why. And could it just, be to the downside? Well, sure, but
It's possible.
yeah, it's possible. But the probabilities are we're going to hold here, barring some kind of a false break to get these lows
Hmm.
for the last 4 years, really. But even this low is good enough. Barring that, I mean, the whole thing is kind of pointed upwards. So I'm just gonna. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. So
Okay. That's a great chart to keep following.
yeah, yeah,
Watch
we'll
the progress.
definitely. All right, let's move on to back to the dailies. Well,
You
here's a
got
winner, right?
the monster.
Yeah, gold quietly just kicking ass and taking names.
Man, if you tried to short that on the way up, you got hurt badly.
Oh my God. Yes. And we didn't.
No,
Yeah,
wasn't even in my consciousness.
yeah. Actually, we've been talking about how we came down to the quarter square, how that was a perfect correction. I think I actually even said that a couple of weeks ago or whenever we hit that. And we were watching, last thing I remember sharing with you guys, we were watching to see if this is a lower high and if we're going to consolidate here a little bit
Hmm.
longer, or if we're going to go up and, take out the 216. Sure enough, you took it out with grand style. And this is really how you want to take a level out, not just,
There's no joke.
yeah, no, not messing around. Well, now it's very clear, we're ready. And even any kind of pullback now holding above this 216 level, let's say 2696, easy enough. Well, gold's in really strong, and how could I say this? The strength of the trend is incredible.
Hmm.
A little bit like the S&P in a way, meaning we do a lot of sideways and we make up for price very quickly, and we've been doing that. And now let's see if we consolidate up here, you guys. It's going to be very, very bullish. So that's all I can say.
I got something to show you on a monthly in my segment on gold.
Okay,
It's
I
very
haven't.
interesting.
Okay, let's do that.
Hmm.
But I haven't looked at. Well, next week, that we broke out and everything, I'll look for some targets up here. But just to let me lower this chart a little bit. Here's the 288, which is normally we talk about when the gold or any market takes out a square, we say, well, that opens up the next square.
Hmm.
Well, you can see what it opened up. It opened up all the way to 3,000 potentially, with the 288 degrees being 2984.
Hmm.
So I mean that would be a great run.
Yep.
And if you have any insights into what the heck is going on with gold, it would be interesting, right? Because
And
I haven't.
interesting is you're going to have in November, you're going to have 288 in timing as well.
Yeah,
So
that's
you could
square.
square it out.
And it's right after elections, by the way. So it just seemed to be lining up.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. But it's definitely marching forward, man. This is very strong.
Amen.
Yeah. Let's go on to the weekly.
Busted right through the half square.
Yeah. And this is really what you want to see in a continuation, especially through a key level. And in any square, we only have three of these. We have the bottom of the square, the 50% point, and of course we have the roof for the top of it. And all through here, it was great. We managed to stay above, and triangle broke to the upside, check back, and a move. I mean, gold's been trading just perfectly through this chart. You can see the consolidation right above here and a pull
Hmm.
back into the quarter. And we paused here for a couple of weeks at 2704 after we touched it. Now we're back on top of it. Well, you see where that square is going on a weekly basis. We're
Wow.
up at what, 3060, right?
Hmm.
And so it seems like the pull is really in this 3000 level. And well, I'm not going to fight it. So there's that.
Very good.
And you're looking at gold
I'll
for the.
show the monthly. Yeah. I'll show
Oh,
a
great. Yeah,
monthly.
I'd like to see that. And copper didn't do too badly. We were looking for support at this quarter square. And we talked about how there's structural support here. Is 430 is a number we've looked at for a long time. Why? Well, we have the support back in January of 23. We tapped it here. Once it broke through, we went all the way down, below the square, resistance, got above, shot above, and now we're coming for a check back. So this is all bullish. This is a very nice pullback, and this is the kind of pullbacks you can actually trade off of support up until we get to the 50. Once we get, if we can get through that, once we get through that, then it's wide open again. So this looks good. Anything you want to add for copper?
Nope.
Not really, right? We're good.
Nice pullback. Let's see what we can
Yeah,
get a reversal.
everything's functioning. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
looks okay. And just a quick peek at the weekly copper chart. So, in the longer term, our support level is a little bit lower. 423 is really the level we want to watch as far as the strength of the weakness goes. So above 423, it's definitely strong. What I like to call like prime, like it's ready to go higher. And below that, it would be, more like ready to go lower. So,
Mm-hmm.
so we're watching that. Even the trend lines are ascending. So the copper looks okay. I
It
don't
looks
think
good.
copper is going to zero.
No. And again,
And
it's all that's happening near the previous highs, so it's not
mm,
bearish.
no, just looking good. And the metals did good. You're going to cover silver, right? Silver just kicked ass today.
Silver was beautiful today. Yes, I will
So
cover
you can
silver.
cover all that. All right. Let's look at the dollar winding down. Pretty much did what we've been talking about. Lows came in. We wanted to see it get through the 50%, which it did. Next line was the 2/3, which just so happened, I think Wednesday we talked about how this is sort of like a ceiling now, right? This little
Sure.
ledge here. So that's going to provide some resistance. And sure enough, it did. So now you guys kind of know the game. We want to see it hold above 102 and a quarter, 102.75. And the higher, more space we can put between whatever low that comes in 102.75, the more bullish. That's kind of how we look at it. And once we get above this 104, 103.95, 104, I would expect it to get established, up in this range and join the same, sort of the same movement and till it finds its way higher. So for now, it was a very strong move up. So this is normal, and we'll see what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a quick look at the weekly. So on the weekly, I think the main thing to notice would be how the lows came in right at the 90.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really important level, and you can kind of visualize that the lower half of the square, right? Here's a full square, but you can see
Mm-hmm.
how we've been, there for a couple of years now, putting in a tremendous block of trading.
Yeah. Yep.
So no matter which side we break into, it's just, this area is going to really hold for a while, years to come.
And it'll be a good move. Big move.
Yeah. So for now, we're looking, really now the question is, well, how is it going to move from, the lower part of the square to the 50%? And if you just look at the history of it, here, back in 23, we moved in a straight line, very strong, and both ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the second run, we did an ABCD up. Okay, fair enough. And on the way back down, it was fairly straight on the downside. So it's hard to say, but as you can see, we can take a couple of different ways to get up there. But the key marker is really around 104.36, 35.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get above that. And that could be like the first resistance. You can see how we stalled out at that level before. Once we get above that, it really opens up the 50% of the square all the way up to 106.75. And so we'll deal with that when we get there. But for now, everything looks good. Even tapping here or even before, a little bit of even a one bar pullback would be healthy. So we'll see how that works out. For now, everything's going according to plan,
Yes, it is.
as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at the euro. We hit our 108 level
Yes,
on
you did.
Thursday, right? Perfectly. So what now? Well, now 1094 becomes resistance. And if we, let's say have a couple of day counter trend, we turn back down. The level you really want to watch is 108. If we take
Yeah.
that out, then it's going to be, very weak, and dollar's probably going to make a quick run to that 50% level we just looked at.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we're range bound in here like we've done. That's it for the euro. 108, watch 108, week below 109, and below 108, it's even weaker.
Like next leg down starts below there.
Exactly. Yep.
Hmm.
Here's the weekly. You can see, we even dress it up a little bit. We have the little dash market where 108 comes in, and you can see we perfectly came down to it. Didn't quite get to the 90. I mean, we did the first time around. The second time we quite didn't, which signals, weakness. And so it's not a big surprise we got down there in a hurry.
Hmm.
Again, now, the question is, are we going to spend times, sort of mean reverting around 108, or are we going to pick a direction here? Clearly, it's probably not going to be a bounce and break through the square. So I'm thinking more of, mean reverting and whatnot till we break this lower trend line. And
Hmm.
once we take that out, we can expect, lower prices. Kind of how I'm seeing it. What do you think? Anything you want to
Makes
add?
perfect sense. I think
Makes sense.
108 is the key.
Yeah, yeah. We'll watch that closely.
Hmm. Hang Seng looking like this
Hang
week.
Seng recovered, man. They did
Little
okay.
outside reversal there today.
Yeah, yeah. So Hang Seng looks strong. So 2380 was a level we really want to kind of hold above. And yesterday we were just barely hanging there, outside reversal today, well above 2380. So basically, like we kind of talked about, majority of the time we were in this block, in this quarter square block. So, you know, however much we spend here, it's very bullish. And once we take out the 50% level, I expect it to go up and challenge these old highs. But I think, for the kind of noise and the news and the headlines, this is a very sort of conservative pullback, correction, uh,
Sure is.
given how we got there and everything, right? So,
Hmm.
and it's holding above the highs back in May. So it looks good. That's what I have. What about natural gas?
Pulled
Well,
back right to your trend line.
this is it, make or break. We have
Yeah,
to either we hold it. Well, here's the thing: if we hold it, sure, we could expect some kind of a move up. Otherwise, I'll tell you what, all that natural gas related stuff is doing. It's just sort of rotating here, waiting, basing out. So long as the low's in place, I would say this is just base building for me. That's how I'm kind
agreed.
of seeing it, right?
Agreed. Yep.
So let's watch that. That's all I got. Let me put it back to you,
Excellent.
and we'll look at some of the long-term charts and Nasdaq and Bitcoin and all that. Wow, man, I didn't expect that to be so precise.
I know. So here, this is the
Not bad.
chart. If I was like a wild and crazy bull, this is the chart that would worry me
Mm,
because when we made this high in July, right around the Rebel Yell cycle date, the last one,
mm,
we had the pullback, and we still haven't made a new high yet.
yeah,
While
yeah.
the Dow, the S&P has,
Hmm.
the futures have, the NQs, they haven't, and they were leading. I mean, look, this was the vertical move, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Huge, huge move up, and we still haven't made a new high yet.
Hmm.
And so that, to me, if we roll over here, obviously we've got the squares, which are important, but if we roll over here and take out these lows, then it's trouble.
Okay, fair enough. And we have plenty of warning here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So um, this is the fly in the sort of bullish, bull market
The
continuing.
bullish soup.
Yeah, I think it is because
Yeah.
this is to me it's glaring, right? It's these guys were leading and we have not made a new high yet.
Mm,
And now we're getting this, I just put this one by one on the recent high and look at the the tap, tap, tap.
doing pretty good. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's forming a little triangle there on its own. So,
Yeah. So let's see. Let's see what happens. That's the big thing.
what I
Um,
haven't seen in markets, at least in indices lately, is a good double top. Boy, this would just set up perfectly for a false break.
oh my God, yeah. If we go up,
If
just
it can do.
nudge up a little higher and then go right back under this 208, that would be huge.
Yeah,
So
but
we'll
for
watch it.
now, you're right. It's a 50%. We have to watch it 50% line and the square above, right?
Right. And the 50% here is, just about 20,000. Yeah, 20,200, 20,002. So call it 20,000.
Okay.
That's the key. We get below that, you gotta be careful.
Hmm.
Got to be careful with this one. Let's take a look at the weekly. The thing I'm interested in on this weekly is this is a weekly one by one. And notice since we broke that after that high, right? The high came time and price,
Hmm.
nicely time and price
Yeah,
there,
very
right?
nice. Hmm.
Uh-huh. And since we've done that, we've just been banging up against the underside of this one by one
Yeah, yeah.
and have not been able to get on top of it.
Hmm.
We're pushing up higher, but notice how we just all the closes and everything are under this one by one.
Hmm.
And this is that, we call it the kiss goodbye sometimes, right? You come back, you kiss the bottom of the trend line, and then you go.
Yeah, well, this has gone way beyond the kiss.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with this one. It's, price and time so far is holding
Yeah,
that original, that July high in price and time.
yeah. So this is interesting. It's a good thing to watch. Let's see.
Yep. Let's see what happens. Here's your monthly. And the monthly is just showing the same kind of picture, which is, you know, we're right now we're still below the high we made when we squared out.
Hmm.
We do have, this is our second month up. It's not, we made a higher high this month, so it looks like it's going to be an up bar. The question is, can we go up, take out the old highs and sit on top of this, this 156 area? And we'll
Okay.
see.
Yep.
That is the question right now. The other one I wanted to show you was the calendar day.
Hmm.
And the reason is that here gives you a decent visual, right? We came up and make this high. The red horizontal line is the half square.
Right.
I know there's a lot of lines here, but just if you look at this one, notice what we're banging up against.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
until we get on top of that, this
That's
could,
a good way to look at it. Yeah.
yeah, I think
Perfect. Yep.
there could be a little trouble there. Also,
Mhm.
notice how this one by one is the trend line. So let's say if we break that and look where it's around, it's right around 20,000.
Man, this is a good chart.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
So watch
Hmm.
this half square, which is call it 20,625.
Hmm.
If we get above that, we're in better shape. If we keep getting stuck below it, we risk having the pressure come on. And then it's this one by one, which is going to be around 20,000, in the next few weeks that we want to make sure we hold that one by one because you can see we held here.
Yeah.
And then if we break through and get stuck under, the evidence starts stacking up that, okay, maybe this is the first leg, second leg, first counter trend, and then a big leg down. So we got to watch for that.
Yep.
Anything else to add here on NQs?
No, we're good. That's perfect. Perfect coverage.
All right, let's look at Bitcoin because Bitcoin did something very good.
Hmm.
We closed over the half square
Right. Right.
at 67,850 was the big number.
Little
Looks like
shaky, but it did it.
it's trying hard, spend half the day on the other side, but it's pushing. If we can get, the next bar,
Mm.
make sure the low is above this, then we're opening up new all-time highs in the full square.
Mm.
So while it's been, frustrating for the bulls and the bears, you can see when we started, turning here, we got this this first low came down into support. We pushed up back into the mess, higher low, reversed up a higher high, higher low. That's
Mm.
what a bull market is, higher highs and higher lows.
Right.
So the the thrust is to the upside. And look how here, Barry, where we pushed through and then the lows held on the full square.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just what you want to see. That's getting above, staying above, and then we go. Now the test is here at the half square. Can we get above, stay above what the lows, and then we'll go to the full square and new
Mm.
highs. So it looks good. The other thing that's supporting it, this monthly bar right now, looking very strong. We took out basically 2 months of highs here
Hmm.
this month so far, and we're above this half square, which is call it around 67,420. Close above that and clearing that, we open up 80,700, the full
Hmm.
square up top. So it actually looks, Bitcoin's starting to look like it's ready to move. I don't know if it's a reaction to the election. I don't know if it's a reaction to, the moves in gold and silver, but it's starting to move after this long, long consolidation that we've seen. Anything else to add here on Bitcoin?
No, we're good. Perfect.
Okay, let's do a quick discussion of the commodities, and then we'll go into the two charts I want to show you.
Mm-hmm.
Wheat, corn, and soybeans, the grains, big moves down today. It looks like it was on some news, probably a crop report or something.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it looks like we're close to ending sort of these pullbacks after the first move up off the lows that they've put in.
Mm-hmm.
So the next week, we're going to watch them closely, see if we can get reversals on the 4 hours, get reversals on the dailies, putting in higher lows there, and then we'll be ready to attack those again. The softs, remarkably sideways. Cotton is sideways. Cocoa is sideways. Coffee's been, sideways in this rising wedge that it's in. Sugar, we talked about it yesterday. We got the reversal up. This week it was one day up, one day down, one day up, one day down. So it's kind of still basing there. So there's nothing to do there.
Mm-hmm.
Crude and nat gas, Barrie covered. He covered copper. So let's show the weekly chart on gold. I'm sorry, this is a monthly on gold. Now,
Wow, very good.
why did I want to show you this? Well, first of all,
Why are
we
you
have
showing off?
we have a higher high on the monthly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is great. We want to see that. We're above the half square, which is 2667, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. The fly in the ointment is we're on the circle, right? We're right. The high is right on the edge of the circle, and the circle's pretty good, right? We had one, two,
Yeah, it's a good
three
circle.
touches. So what are the possibilities? We start, banging up against it and rolling over, or we break through and we accelerate up to 3150.
Go on to the next circle.
The next circle and the square, right? The next
Yeah.
level in the square.
Yep.
And on this chart, it would be the 180, which is 3150.
Yeah. So we all have, I think we both have targets right around 3,000, give or take a little. Looks like
Yeah,
it's getting pulled up there.
it is getting pulled up there. We know that we have the Rebels yell cycle tomorrow, so we want to watch, does gold change a character, because it
Yeah.
really ramped up into it,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the changing character is going to be like gold has done in the past, where it just kind of consolidates and doesn't pull back much, just goes up and down, up and down, up and down a little bit each way,
Mm-hmm.
for a while to burn off time. So we're gonna watch that, but I thought this was interesting enough to take a look and see, because we are, you know, tapping the outside of that circle.
Mm-hmm.
My sense is with the momentum here that we're probably just going to bust through and it's going to accelerate. But let's see.
Yeah.
And we'll know that if we hold above 2667, that's going to be the most probable thing. If we get below it, then we got to see, is it going to pull back an eighth, a quarter, even more? I mean, gold could pull all the way back to like 2200 and still be bullish.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen. It just looks like a market it doesn't want to let people in.
Yeah.
So let's see how it plays out. I think odds do favor we'll break through, but we're open to the possibilities of something else. Let's see what happens. All right, the only other chart we're going to look at today is, because silver had a monster day.
Yeah. Now that's a breakout.
That is a breakout. I think it ended up almost 7% today, silver. I mean, just a map.
You know what the news was?
I don't think the best part is I don't think there was any news.
Mm.
I love those kind, like you
Yeah.
get a big move on no news is fantastic.
Yes. Yep.
So we were talking about this 3250 level was really key. You could see all the times we banged up against it. We hit it in May, we hit it in
Mhm.
June, and it got rejected. We came up again and tried again. It scared us with the false break.
Right.
But remember, because yes, that was a false break, right? There's no question
Yeah.
it was a false break. But when you look at the bigger picture charts, the weeklies and the monthlies, it tells you, don't freak out. It's just a daily false break. They're still very bullish. Stay with it. And that's the kind of message we've been talking about, is just, look at the bigger picture in this market, because this is probably what's most likely what's coming, what happened today. So what
Also,
is this?
uh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's a clue to the false break here. If you take the first one the first one right by the timing line. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had 2 days down and an inside bar, right?
Yep. Yep.
And the inside got taken. It ended up being an outside reversal to the upside. Okay,
Yep.
fine. So that's the draw. Then we had an inside bar again,
Yep.
which broke to the upside. Okay.
Yep.
Now, so then you're like, okay, that's a false break. So the first one really didn't give a chance for the fall. False breaks have fast moves that come follow them, right? Here it didn't.
Right.
It's just like inside, break to the upside.
Yep.
That's kind of like, okay, it's not quite, it looks like a false break, not behaving like one, right? And
Right.
then the second one, we had 2 days
Only
down
2 days down. That's
and an
it.
inside bar again.
Yep.
Which side do we get? Does it get taken out to the upside? So I think that
Yep.
was a clue, right? One's that,
Yep.
right, Ben? And after that, it
No,
just,
that's fantastic. Yeah. And Barry always talks about most people look at inside bars as well. Nothing happened today, but it gives you a great clue
mm,
when as as he says many times on our videos, watch to see which side gets taken out first,
mm,
because that's generally the direction of the trend that's going to follow. And here we had the upside got taken out,
and
pushed
that
up,
was it.
higher,
Yeah,
low,
it
and then
just kept
boom.
moving. Yep.
So this, and we closed on the highs. I love to see that in commodities. So the key is we want to stay on top of 32.50 with any pullbacks. The short-term target now is 36 and a quarter.
Hmm.
That's your next,
Very
that's the
nice.
half square. That's the next move. All right, that's the daily. Let's look at the weekly and the monthly and see how they look. Similar picture here, right? We were banging up against this full square, couldn't do it, crisscrossing it. Today, monster move, almost made it up to the half square. Right. So 34.32 is going to be the half square target. We may hit that Sunday night, Monday, who knows? But now we want to, on any pullbacks, we want to stay on top of this full square. And obviously the full square up here is going to be opened once we can get above the half square. But you can see why in all this mess over here, we weren't super concerned, because if you look left, all they were doing was checking these highs, right?
Yeah.
Checking the highs from here, here, here.
And the 108 level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. So it was all checking this stuff, shaking out people before they made this next move up. And remember, we had 90 weeks here.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
cycle.
Hmm.
And we said, we raised the caution, said, okay, we got to be careful. We got to watch how this pullback unfolds. And it was a normal sort of full square pullback right into support.
Hmm.
And
And a nice continuation.
yeah, now we're sort of taking the next move up. So everything looks good on the weekly. Let's look at the monthly.
Very.
Monthly shows a very similar picture, right?
Hmm.
And here's even the more of the bullish why we stayed bullish on this, even though it was a 90 and there was timing here. Look at
And
where
this is
this,
a nice chart. It's a
yeah, look
beautiful.
at where the monthly pullback came to.
Hmm.
Tapped the full square, checked all these highs that we made here the last 3 or 4 years, and now we're roofing. 37.96 is the half square, and that's the current target. Obviously we get on top of that, then we're looking at, back to the 2010, 2011 highs, 50 bucks silver. The interesting thing to watch here is, if you remember this period, for those of you who were trading in the great financial crisis, stocks were doing great. Everything was going up. The housing market was huge. And then the problem started. And then look what happened to silver.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if the cycles, the bigger cycles we're looking at, where we think there's going to be some economic issues, we think there's going to be some market issues, not similar to '08, because every market correction, but it's a big cycle, right? It's not a 6 month cycle, not an 18-month cycle. We're talking, decades and 90-year cycles, and big cycles in here that are coming in. This type of thing could happen in the metals.
Hmm.
And the charts, not just saying, oh, the cycle is going to repeat, so that's going to happen. The charts are showing the same thing, right? Because we're capturing levels, we're building bases, right? Base, move up, base, move up. And that's kind of the way. And if you look at, low to high here in silver was
Hmm.
90 months, like beautiful timing, right, to the high. which is 90 by 90, just a nice square. If we
Right.
do 90 here, takes us to September of 2027.
Mm,
If we do another 90 month.
right.
So, I mean, that could be the bull market highs in the metals.
Hmm.
Again, not saying the cycle is going to repeat 100%, but just looking at putting some timing down and say, okay, and if we go up 90 from here, where does that put us? If we just did a 90 by 90, 72 silver?
Why not? I think I had a dream about that once. It's possible.
Actually, no, it's higher than that. No, it would be here. Yeah, 90 would be right here.
Hmm.
72, like around $72 silver. Not saying it's going to happen, just saying it's a possibility. Look based on past moves that we've seen. Anything you want to add on silver?
Yeah, I think the way silver moves, it might happen before 27. It might happen, it might,
Right.
well, the thing is, it could do, 2 by 1 and get there in 26,
Right.
accelerate fast. But, higher it goes, the sharper it gets, to kind of like what happened in 2010, 11, right?
Yeah.
It's just get more vertical, and yeah, we'll see.
And that's when Barry will find a great circle that'll fit there, and you'll
Yeah.
see the price go. And that's where you get those accelerations, right on the edges of those
Yep.
circles.
Yep.
So, so that's all I have on the commodities. But I did want to talk about a topic today with you, Barry,
Mhm.
and get your take on it. There's a lot of a lot of information out there about Gann, where Gann said, "Hey, time is more important than price."
Mhm.
Right? What's your take on that? Because we have to be practical, right? As traders, price rules for us. Price determines everything. How do you deal with that sort of focus on, because when you're short-term trading, it's all about price, and when you're looking at these big long cycles, it's all about time. How
Yeah.
do you handle that?
Carefully, in short. Very
I mean, I
careful.
know it's not an easy topic, right? It's more art than it is science, right? There's no formula.
What I can do is I can just share what I think, my experience, right? I've been charting forever or so, and using Gann methods. And I used to think the same thing. And oh my God, so what does that mean? That means we have to really, really pay attention to the time counts, bar counts, and whatnot. And which is all true. You should do all of that.
Mhm.
But then you get into the same problem, like, well, which count is it? If it's not the 45, then what's next? So if you're going to count the bars, then you're going to have, then you have a 30, then you have a 54, then you have a 60, then you have a
70,
67, and then you have a
72.
72. I mean, every
Right.
other day you got to practically have a time count coming.
So this
So,
gets to the wheels within wheels thing, right? Like what is the
absolutely, man.
dominant cycle?
Absolutely. There's wheels within wheels, which almost look like fractal time units that I don't think we're able to. One of the things that I come to realize is the price is fairly simple. It's just price goes up and down, and within a certain time, and we mark it down. So it's a very sort of a 2D kind of an operation, right? So it's easy to understand. It's either $10 or it's $9. It's easy to graph it.
It's
But time is,
binary.
but yes, but time is not that easy to understand, especially when you are thinking in terms of cycles. It's not just, oh, it's here or there. There are multiple time frames, just like when you're looking at multiple time frames in when you're charting. 1 minute in a yearly, 10-year chart, whatever as you switch charts, you get different things that come to resolution changes, and you see different things.
Mhm.
And so timing is the same issue. I think it's way more complicated than we can imagine. So, but it's also very important because up until the correct, where Gann is right on, is until it's time, nothing's really going to happen. But how do you find that time? So there are ways to do it. There are ways to do it, but there are also lots of traps laid down there by time. So, it's not so easy to understand those things. So the easiest way to do it is, watch time in a reasonable way, because yeah, it can be complicated, but like I try to keep it really simple. Like when we looked at a lot of the charts, I say, let's look at it from the last high or last low. How did we get to where we are from the last high, last low? Then, and even Gann talked about it, look at it from the all-time high, all-time low, yearly high, yearly low. So, there are some key pivots you can check time from, and then you can throw in your favorite planets in there. There's another way to, there's multiple ways to look at these things. And I'm telling you, there's no end to the research for time. And I don't think it should be that complicated to figure it out to trade, because we're just trying to make a profit. We're not trying to solve the sort of mysteries of the universe.
Right. Right.
Because it's easy to get caught in that. I mean,
Oh, for
I
sure.
spent my share of the time chasing down all kinds of rabbit holes. So anyway, the short of it is, if you just keep an eye on the shorter term time windows, less than 360, and prices, you'll catch all the swings. I mean, we catch all the turns. And we haven't, it's not like we track every time cycle there is, but just by watching the primary ones, you can manage just fine, long as you understand that market. So, that's the other thing. You want to see how time works within these markets, like silver versus the S&P versus, let's
Sure.
say, the dollar, right?
Right.
So the idea is, yes, Gann is right. But the thing is, that's such a general term. Like, time is the most important thing. Okay, great. What does that mean? How do I handle it? How do I use that information to structure my strategy, right? So then you get into the nuts and bolts of it, and it's easy to drown in it. And so my thing is, yeah, time is definitely important, but it's also very complex. And in that sense, keep it simple, keep like I said, last couple of swings, keep the timing, and then let the price tell the story of, are we moving higher or lower, just like we talk about, on these shows. So
That's the key.
that's how I kind of handle it. Yeah.
No, that's a great explanation. And the reason I brought it up, because I had the personal experience when I first started using cycles many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When the cycle came in, I was like, okay, well, this has to change.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get run over, right? Because you
Yeah.
don't believe it. And you're like, oh, it's going to turn because it's the cycle. It's going to turn because it's the cycle. And you cannot be oblivious to the market action and what price is doing, because price is, it's real, it's true, and it's the all the information is in that price.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm bringing it up, because for people that are new to cycles, we have a rebel yell cycle hit. It doesn't mean markets are going to V next week, make highs or make lows and turn and go the other way. You have to watch how the price action unfolds. And the key that I've learned, and then what Barry's saying, is that sometimes there are bigger cycles that are driving, that
Mm.
override the cycle that you're looking at. But you can keep yourself from getting wrecked and out of trouble by paying attention to the price. And the price action tells you what the effect is.
So you have to know when to yield for the larger cycles coming through. You don't want to get run over by that. That's the idea, right?
Absolutely. And
And
if you can learn from my mistakes, it's all the better, right? Because everybody pays their tuition one way or another. You learn either through other people's experiences or through your own. And this is why, at the end of each of these shows, we try and talk a little bit about issues that we've dealt with or things that come up, because it's a part of the experience of trading. Is you have to make mistakes to learn, or you have to listen to other people who made the mistakes to tell you what to look for. And when these cycles come in, it's really critical that you watch the bars, you watch the price action, you watch the highs, you watch the lows, to see what the changing character is and what the effect of that cycle is.
Mhm. And Ben, the psychology behind all of that really matters too, because it's easy to get lost in research if you're gonna, how that goes. We've done
Oh
our
yeah.
share of it.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you always have to come back to, the purpose, right? What's the purpose? Am I trading to find time? No, you're trading for a profit. And where do you get stopped out? Well, it has to do with price. know,
Right.
time doesn't stop you out. Well, time only stops you out once, and that's at the end.
Margin call.
Yeah. And then you're done. So it's that one
Right.
time stop. But
Right.
in trading, you price is the thing that determines your profit or loss. So obviously, while time might control the beginnings and ends, price certainly controls the middles. So that's why you can't, that's why it's price and time. Obviously, you have to use both. And the thing is, it's a little bit like a recipe. You have to know when you have to lean more on time and when to lean more on price. So that's the art part, I suppose, that you brought up.
Yeah.
Just to know how to keep that balance as a market's like this week character was. I mean, you could have gone nuts watching that, but if you knew, right?
Yeah, or to sleep, either one.
But if you knew the levels, like the 30-minute chart that we looked at, if you knew the levels, you're fine. You just know, well, long it is up there, this is how it's going to be. If it gets below that, it's going to change. So it gives you a sense of, I don't know, sense of freedom, I guess,
Yeah,
to
the boundaries,
to
right?
let the time run out.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Anyway, we the our pledge to you as always is we will, keep you posted on X as to the changes we see, especially with the Rebel Yell cycle coming through this weekend. We'll let you know what our interpretation is, and it's going to be based on price, right? And price action. So rest up. I know we say it a lot, but rest up but from here to year end is not going to be boring. December, I think, is going to be wild. Obviously,
November, hello, November.
obviously the election is going to be crazy, after that. And we are, in a matter of weeks there, and we got a big cycle coming this weekend. So look at your charts, be ready, know the levels, and everything will work out well. So great show today, Barry. Terrific coverage, and we'll see you all soon. Again, please subscribe, like, share the link with your friends. We want to grow the channel. You guys have been great this year in helping us do that. Please continue to do that, and we appreciate all your support. Take care, everybody.
Good job, Ben. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next week. All right.
Take
Bye bye.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye.